Welcome back to Bonnets to Boats. Today we'll be looking at the arts surrounding the boat horse. Horses, ponies, mules and donkeys all worked the canals from the very beginning in the late 1700s right through to the last days of commercial traffic in the 1960s. And even today you can witness the fascinating art of horse boating with historic boats like Saturn here and trip boats on the Llangollen.
Work all night and you work all day, and they say so, and they hope so. Put him on the inside or back or way up, poor old horse. At Exo Wharf they go to load, and they think so, and they hope so. Then he goes out on the London Road, poor old horse.
A 72-foot boat carrying some 20 tons of coal might look dauntingly heavy, but the first thing to remember is that the draw weight of the boat, that is to say how heavy it is to pull forward, is nowhere near the 20 tons because of the buoyancy of water. We could go into the formulas to work it out properly, but you're not here for complicated maths, so in round figures, and from personal experience, it's about 100 kilos. The rule of thumb is that on a flat road over rough ground a horse can pull his own body weight, on smooth ground twice his weight, and on water 20 times his own weight. So pulling a boat, even loaded, isn't as terrible a job as it might seem. Although a horse is arguably the most aesthetically pleasing, mules and donkeys were more sure-footed. The Duke of Bridgewater himself preferred to have his barges pulled by mules, and allegedly had a small stud to produce them. Ponies, especially cob and native types, were popular choices too, as the most important thing to remember is that the animal had to be able to fit underneath the bridge. Animals on all canals will usually work singly, but where necessary they would work in teams of 2 or even 3. Broader canals, of course, had bigger bridges, bigger boats, and correspondingly bigger horses. While it's true there was bad amongst the good, as a rule the boat horse was a well-treated member of the family. The boatwoman would spend hours crocheting delicate lace bonnets that protected the horse from being bothered by flies around his ears. This is Sammy. He'd like to be a boat horse one day, but he's still got some growing to do before he can fit into his bonnet. The harness of a boat horse is fairly simple, consisting, in its most basic form, of a collar that goes around the neck of the animal, on which are fitted a pair of hames. The hames are attached to the traces that run down the side of the animal and connect to the swingle tree. From the swingle tree is attached the tow line. The tow line itself runs back to the boat where it connects with the mast. There are various other straps too, but we can look at those another day. The collar is the most important part of the harness, and because of the shape of a horse's head, goes on upside down and then is turned the correct way up when it's past the horse's ears. The collar is the heaviest part of the harness, and Sammy is only a youngster, so he's demonstrating here with a pool noodle. Some animals, donkeys in particular, have broader heads that a collar can't fit over, so they would have a collar with a buckle top that allowed for it to be opened up wide enough. Some animals wouldn't tolerate a collar passing over their heads at all, and these would use a split collar instead. This would be slipped over the neck of the horse and strapped closed at the bottom. A great advantage to this type of collar was that it was completely adjustable should a horse lose or gain weight. This particular collar has wooden hames fixed directly to it, but normally the hames are detachable and made of metal like these. The important thing with the hames was that they didn't stick up above the horse where they could catch on a bridge. These hames are identical, but only one was used on the canal, and you can see where they've had the top few inches cut off. Hames would be brightly painted, sometimes in solid colours and sometimes with stripes or blocks to match with the bobbins. Bobbins are probably the piece of harness you'll recognise the most off a boat horse. Because the pull is off-centre, one side or the other of the horse will be under more tension, and the bobbins stop the traces from rubbing his sides. They are basically big wooden beads and can be painted in solid colours or patterns, whatever the owner fancied. Not all horses used bobbins though. Some used leather sleeves, generally when the traces were made out of chain as opposed to spliced cotton rope. Another iconic piece of boat horse kit is the nose tin. These are basically a galvanised bucket with a leather strap that goes over the horse's head and allows him to eat his food while he walks on. Most of them were highly decorated on the outside with brightly coloured roses and castles, but some were left plain, as the equine user couldn't be trusted not to batter it when it was empty. An animal would never be left to backer away, that is to say, left to work unattended, when he had his nose tin on, as if he slipped into the canal wearing it, he could easily drown. For this reason, some boaters, mostly in the north, used wicker nose tins. Horseboating itself is an art form that has left its mark on the canals, nowhere more clearly than the bridges. The tow rope, usually damp and often gritty, forced some bridges to be fitted with guards and rollers which took the brunt of the abrasive force of the many passing boats. Where the towpath changes sides, turnover bridges, sometimes called snake bridges, were built so that the horse could cross sides without breaking his stride. Some locks still carry the pegs for the pulley system that would be rigged to give the horse a 2-to-1 purchase to start a loaded boat moving again. And if you're very lucky, you may well see an old boat under tow, by horse or by motor, with running blocks down her top plank, and the towline attached to the T-stud fastened to the hatch itself. Doing this allows the steerer to control the towline as it comes under tension, reducing the snatch against motor or horse. Despite the encroachment of the modern world, this very special branch of canal arts is very much alive. I hope this video has whet your appetite to learn more about boat horses and horseboats, and I'll put some links in the description for you to peruse. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.